Okay everybody, welcome to Craft with Norma. Today I'm going to show you two ways that I do my quill pens, or my faux quill pens. Both of them are quite easy, quite straightforward. So we'll start with the simplest first, although I think they're both simple really. I've just got a selection of feathers. You can use any sort of feathers that you like. This is a seagull feather, this is a purchased feather, and this is an ostrich feather from an ostrich farm. So I'm going to be using the purchased feather and an ostrich feather. So the first one we're going to do is just a really simple, straightforward little pen to go in your junk journals. And we're just going to strip off some of the feathers here, like so. Now I think this bought one is actually a dyed feather. So we've just stripped off just a little tiny bit of the end of the feather, and what we're going to do now is pick a pen nib. Now I bought these pen nibs just in this little box from a flea market a couple of years ago, and it was just full of the different nibs. So I'm wanting one that's got more of a, because as much as I like that nib, the shank of it is quite long and I don't want it to be quite that long. So I'm going to pick that brass coloured one, and we're just going to put it on just like so, and that will just become a little pen in its own right. Now then, I'll need it to be that way because it's going to be like that, isn't it? So all I'm going to do is just trim down the edge just a little bit with some scissors. So I'm just going to take about 1/8. So I'm wanting it to be not quite to the end there, and then I'm going to get some of my heavy body gel, which I adore, and it's got so many uses. And with this one I'm just going to use it as a glue to set the nib into. So we're going to get our nib, we're going to hold it like so, and we're just going to place some glue in the little recess that the nib has naturally, just like that. So it's like a little boat of glue. And then I'm just going to push my feather in like so, and just bring the glue across so it meets, just like that. Because we want the glue to actually set with the feather in it. And then we're just going to turn it over like so, press it down just a little bit, although we don't want it to glue onto my table, and we're just going to leave it like that just to dry off. I'll put that bit of glue back in there. So the next one is just a little bit more complicated, because we're actually going to make an area for the nib to fit into first. So you've seen me make one of these before, so I use them as closures for my junk journals, and it's also going to be what I'm going to hold the nib in place with. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of, you can get any card that you want. I'm just using craft card, but you could use black card, pattern card, whatever takes your fancy. And I'm just wetting it. Now the reason that I'm wetting it with just some water is I want the card to be more flexible, because at the moment it was stiff. So we just want it to be just a little bit more flexible, and if you put some water on it, it just moves the fibres and makes it more pliable. And then what we're going to do, we're going to give it a little curl, and I'm using an old paintbrush, so quite a thin one, and I'm just going to start curling it. And what I'm wanting to do is for the card's fibres to remember the fact that they've moved into this more curvy shape, just like that. And you can unravel it, and you'll see now that it just takes its natural curve, which is exactly what we want. And we can curl it now without using the the paintbrush handle, and we're just going to curl it like so. And you just do that a couple of times, and then the card sort of gets the idea, oh right, they're wanting me to curl. So next we're going to do is just run some glue down. Now I use quite a heavy PVA glue, which I use for most of my crafting. It's more sort of like a bookbinding glue. And I'm just going to rub that along with my fingers so that gets nice and moist. And also for about 1/2 inch on this side as well, because we want that to bind. And again, we're going to start rolling it. Now you might find it just as easy to use the brush handle, the paintbrush handle, just to get you started again. And we're going to slowly roll it up to about that sort of thickness. Then we're just going to get a paper clip, and we're going to paper clip that end, and we're going to paper clip this end. And we're just going to let that dry. And that's quite important, the fact that we let it dry, because we want it to be quite solid. So we're just going to put that on one side now and let that dry. Now I've done this one a little bit earlier, so it's now dried. So what I'm going to do is just trim off the excess that I don't need. So we've now got a tube of craft card. Very easy. Now what you can do if you want to is stain it now. It's entirely up to you if you want to stain it now, or you can stain it at a later stage, or just leave it not stained. It's entirely up to you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to decide on a nib. Now I quite like the shape of this nib, and it's going to go into there like so, and that then becomes the, oops, I've got something stuck on that one, the handle for you to write with when you're going to quill. So that's quite secure in there. And then next we're going to want to put the feather in. So for this project I don't need my feather to be that long, so I'm going to get hold of it to about there. So by the time that's on there, that's going to be just the length that I want for my journal. You can obviously do it to the length that you want for your project. And again, I'm just going to try and tear off the ribbon along there like so. And with this you get bits of feather everywhere. It doesn't go up your nose because it'll have you sneezing. There we go. Now I've got a long enough piece there, so I'm going to just trim that off, save me struggling. You can always use that on your project somewhere else, I'm sure. Okay, so we've now got the feather, the length that I wanted, and we're going to be slipping it into there like so, and you can see where it comes out. Now where it comes out, we want the feather to be held in place, just like so. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some of the heavy body gel, or try to, probably the best description, into this little hole that we've got here. So it's sort of like filling it up as if you're filling it up with ice cream, and it's an ice cream cone. So we're going to want to try and squash it in there as much as we can, just like that. And if need be, you can use your fingers as well. There we go. And many moons ago I used to work in an ice cream parlour in the early 1960s. Oh, and it was beautiful Italian, homemade Italian ice cream. It was to die for. There we go. So we've now filled the little hole. We've now got the nib facing this way, and I'm now going to get the feather, and we're going to slide the feather in through the hole and push it down, making sure that the feather is in line with the nib. So there's the nib, there's the feather, and the same with this one. And we're just going to leave those to dry. And hey presto, we have got two quill pens. And that's it. It's quite easy, quite simple, but I think quite effective. It looks quite nice in your journals, or in any other projects that you've got, or even if you're doing a gift for someone. I think it would be quite nice as a ornament to go on your gift wrap, if you're giving them something that's connected to writing or a book or something like that. So there's my ideas. Do hope you have a go at making them, and thanks again for watching. Speak to you soon. Oh, forgot to say, if you are a subscriber, thank you so much, and if you're not, please do. Don't forget to press the bell icon, because that'll let you know when my next video is up and running. And don't forget to check me out on my Etsy shop, Crafted by Norma, and also my Instagram account, where I put everything that I make goes onto there. So I think that's everything for the time being. Speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.